Hello, hello! Let's talk about the new solo raid, Mother Whale. I don't know if I want to call this new, to be fair, because, well, that's the second time it comes back, except this time it's lobotomized and has no fucking clue what it's doing. Yeah. So, if you care, this is my odds damage. These are the teams. Yep. And then this is my mains teams. The only difference is that I have Maid Mast for the SBS comp. And this is the overall damage. Note that Drake might be replaceable with Summer Helm because of the way damage is done in this game. For two reasons. One, there would be no cooldown between bursts. That's good. Two, she does damage taken debuff because the boss is electric. Damage taken in the way calculations are done is just a percentage damage increase. It is not in calculation with other stuff. In case you don't know, damage is like attack minus defense, and then it's multiplied by a few things. Elemental damage is its own multiplier. All the damage buffs are its own multipliers, like attack damage, pierce damage, true damage. All of these are added together and then multiplied with the result. And then you have full burst giving a 50% damage increase. I'm sure most people don't even know that's a thing. The core damage is also there, and crit damage is also there. All of these are all in the same section that are added together and then multiplied with the rest. And then everything is multiplied with damage taken, which is its own multiplier that's completely on the side and has nothing else in it. So Summer Helm boosts it gives you damage taken buff or debuff on the boss by roughly, I want to say 25 to 30%. It's been a while. I don't know if it's enough to offset the buffs that Drake gives you. If it is, I'm going to put a follow-up comment on this video and also mention it on the J Update channel for the peeps from my union. So yeah, that might be a bit better than if you use this. If you care, by the way, I know people are going to lose their mind, going, why aren't you using Blanc Noir? It does worse. It just does worse. Because you lose Drake's buffs, you just do worse. And now there's a shotgun, so she does okay damage-ish for the team, so she also benefits from it. She also serves as the healer. Even if Blanc gives damage taken debuff, this setup might be slightly better. Just saying. I've tried both. This was doing better by 5 to 6%, I think. So, yeah. Another note, for those who don't have Maid Anchor or Maid Mast or both, you can just use Grave as your burst too, and then have either Rapunzel or Summer Mary as the 5th flex slot to serve as a healer. The way I'm using Maid Anchor, if you don't have Mast but you have Anchor, is basically I burst Anchor with SBS because SBS gains from distributed damage, and I burst Grave with Alice because pierce damage. It's pretty self-explanatory, so yeah. I'll also mention this here, and well, actually no, I'm gonna mention it when I'm going to be talking about the team, which is now. So let's talk about this boss. You might be looking at my position and go, why is Red Hood not in position 3 to get bonus stats from Rouge? Fantastic question, illusionary person that is not actually here. The reason is very simple. I can't be bothered. Red Hood has a dog shit burst 2. And if I put Mary in position 4, I have to always press S when bursting for the second burst. I'm used to doing AAA and AAS, except maybe at the start, like here, I do SAS because I want Red Hood's burst 1 to break all the parts and the core immediately, right? But that shit is just annoying to always have to go ASA, ASS, because my brain is wired in such a way I'm used to doing AAA and AAS. It's just annoying. If you are able to pull this off and have Red Hood in slot 3 without actually forgetting to use Mary instead of Red Hood, God, I wish I could just deactivate that burst too. It is bad. It's literally a D tier burst. I don't want it. It sucks. But here we are. I genuinely, if I could disable it, I think Red Hood would be a better unit as a result. It's so annoying. But if you're able to actually, like, stomach having Red Hood in slot 3, great. Fantastic. You're going to do better than I do. But yeah. Oh, another thing to note is that Maiden is replaceable with Summer Anise. You have to burst really fast. This is one of the bigger problems with this team. You have to burst really fast, and Mary does not have Summer Anise to basically reload fast when running out of burst to then just have a full charge shot and start spam shooting, right? Which would generate better burst than if you constantly shoot with Red Hood. However, as I said, can't really do that. So you have to manually like unload while you're like at 5 seconds left, so she has the time to reload and then full charge afterwards. If you can do that a few times, it helps a lot in making you burst sooner. I'm going to show exactly why this is important, because this is probably the team I resetted the most on, just because of that. Because it does end up costing you quite a bit. So here, as you can see, I am bursting with Cinderella, right? And there's a shield immediately after. So if you don't burst fast, the problem you run into is that your Cinderella burst is going to be mostly wasted hitting that shield. Yeah, it looks like I have more time than I actually do. But yeah, no, you genuinely have to haul ass, because if you don't do that, yeah, this sucks. This just blows. You can lose so much damage from this, and this will be a problem in general around the fight, but mostly at the start, because after that, it's usually, like, fine. But you want to do it fast. Also, here, if your Mary has enough attack, she will just wipe out everything. If that's the case, phenomenal, great. If you are unlucky and you don't have that type of damage, like me, you want to kill every one of them that overlays on top of the boss so you can shoot the boss while killing them. But after that, like you see me go after them, it's better to do that after the burst. Now, I have aim assist turned off here. If you want to constantly go back and forth in your setting to have a better damage, right? Turn off aim assist at the very start. Once all the ports are destroyed for the first time and you've destroyed the core, turn aim assist back on to kill the mobs easier, because you'll be able to core shot them easier. I didn't do that because I just couldn't be bothered. I had to do... I have 2 accounts to do after all. Also, for those who have been waiting for this video and think it's late, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Oh, before I go into this, if you wonder why I burst here instead of waiting to do the QT and then burst, this is actually important. You lose damage if you don't. Because at the very end, you can get a Cinderella burst just barely in. If you wait until this QT is over, you're going to finish a Red Hood burst toward the very end, and you won't be able to get back into burst for Cinderella. Or actually, no, it's not going to be a at the end of a Red Hood burst, it's going to be at the end of a Maiden burst. My bad. Really wish the HP bars were near this, but yeah. I wanted to make this video way earlier, but there's construction happening in my house right now. So what would have ended up happening is there would be hammering and sawing sounds, and I don't want that in my video. That sounds just like a nightmare to listen to. I'm sorry. So yeah, if you wonder why this is a bit late, this is why. Also, because my sleep schedule has been horrendous. But let's not talk about that. But yeah, when you're off burst, you want to kill as many as you can of these, because very often you're going to be in a position where when you're going to use Cinderella, a lot of your damage is going to be wasted. You don't want that. At least on the bright side, the lasers are way less annoying than the debris. They do like way less damage. Here you can see me like all has to break the mobs earlier. This is because I'm on 12 stack with Maiden. So I want to kill every mobs here and then proc Maiden immediately afterward. So I can just do this. 250 million damage. If you wonder what is better, Summer Anise or Maiden, Maiden is better, but not by much. Well, no. It's better by like 200 mil. And here is what I meant. You have 5 seconds left and you proc Cinderella. So if you wait through the QT, you'll be able to burst, I think, with like 1 or 2 seconds left, but you won't be able to do every hit on Cinderella's burst because it has a bit of delay. So that sucks, right? You lose damage as a result. Another thing to note is that I fucked up here. I should have focused on killing the mobs while generating burst. Because if you do that, you will just hit the boss more with the burst, right? So I could have done 2.5 bill here, maybe 2.55. That's on me. But yeah, just worth mentioning. So yeah, my Red Hood on this account is worse than on my main. My main was out DPSing Cinderella, but you know, it is what it is. I have 97% elemental on my main. If you're wondering why there's a gap of 500 million, that's a good reason why. I think there's like 300 mil damage that Red Hood was doing more on my main. Also, I killed the mobs properly before the big laser attack. Team 2, SBS no Maid Mast. I'm not even going to bother showing you the one with both Maid Mast and Maid Anchor. I'm just going to showcase the damage so you can see what to expect between the two. But yeah, so this is pretty simple. I will say this of note: if you cannot kill the core with SBS and a little of Alice bursting, you will need to burst with Alice first. You will lose damage overall, but you'll actually, well, you'll gain damage because you'll actually survive. The core, breaking the core is so important. Because SBS is still bugged. And some people are going to be like, she's bugged, what the fuck? For Motherwell, despite the fact that her big damage do 750% of her attack as distributed damage should bypass defense because it should be a flat number that just does damage, right? No, she just hits for 1 on the mobs. If the core is up, she just does 1 damage to every mob. I don't understand. There's no reason for it to work like this. Dorothy is the same. This has been a bug ever since Overload started giving power. So like, it's like a year and a half old at this point. I've reported the bug. They've done absolutely nothing about it because apparently it's not important enough to fix the game. If you wonder if you've done not the no-limit version of Mother Whale in the museum, but the basic version, and you've been wondering, why in the heck is my SBS useless on this fight? This is why. It's the same problem as if there's a glass that's pretty recent on the field when you're doing a campaign chapter, because you're going to be hitting the way it works, at least the way I think it works, is it's going to hit one of the enemies, and if it's recent, if it's the most recent creature, or the oldest creature, for campaign it's the oldest creature, it's going to hit that first and then duplicate the damage. But because glasses take only 1 damage a pop, well, everything takes 1 damage. It's stupid, it shouldn't work that way, but it does. You do want to haul ass when doing the QTEs here, because if you don't do that, you're going to lose a fair bit of damage to the shield. Especially because it happens with SBS. Also, this is why you're bursting with SBS first and not Alice. Because that way Alice is the one that's taking the brunt of the shields. My Alice sucks. So it's better for me to sacrifice her damage in SBS because SBS does way more damage. Especially if you have both maids. It's better to burst with SBS first and then Alice because of that. But yeah, pretty simple. Anchor makes everything stress-free because she heals way too much. Since you're always at 160% max HP, nothing's ever a problem. It is what it is, right? Alright, Team 3, Milk. Now, I will say this. I'm horrible at playing Milk because it's a fair bit of micromanagement. But if you want me to boil it down, the gameplay should be you full charge then spam shoot. You full charge because it gives you a it gives you pierce. And then you spam shoot, then you burst with her first, of course. When she's bursting, embarrassment cannot be active, which is why we don't actually proc it before bursting. It kills embarrassment, of course. After her burst, and when you know you can burst with the next unit, even if you full charge for 1.5 seconds to proc embarrassment, then you do proc embarrassment because it's a 120% attack increase. And then you go back to full charge, spam shoot, full charge, spam shoot, full charge, spam shoot, all the way until you burst again. And after you burst again, you do this again, where you proc embarrassment afterward, but late enough that you can still burst with the embarrassment proc. I'm going to like walk you through it. Here I should be spam shooting. I should not be proccing embarrassment. I should just be spam like full charge spam shoot, full charge spam shoot to get pierce every time. And then here I should full charge to proc embarrassment. And then full charge spam, full charge spam, full charge spam. All the way until she's bursting again. I'm using embarrassment way too much, and later on in this recording, I forget to use it entirely. So, and this team still does 2.4 bill. Milk is actually a really strong character. She's also very cheap to build. Because effectively all you have to do is just get elemental and max ammo. You want 3 max ammo and then 4 elemental. Attack is not really needed because she is a character that gets so much attack already. When bursting, she has a 220% attack increase. when not bursting, she has 120% attack increase. You don't need it. Or rather, you can take it, but it's already drowned in so much attack. Off of burst, I think a 11% attack increase is like 4 to 5% damage increase for the first line. Actually, it's more like 4, yeah. If you're in full burst, it's more like 3 to 4, but closer to 3. It is not big. Whereas elemental damage is, well, your first line can be upward to 29% damage increase. Well, because you have a base 10%, it's more like 25% damage increase, which is obviously a lot more important. But yeah, I absolutely fuck up using this character. I could definitely do way better than I have. Oh, and for those who wonder, my milk here sucks. she has 80% ammo and like 30% elemental. That's it. That's all I have. So yeah, she very much will perform really well very easily. I mean, I butchered using her so bad, and I don't really see any problem with it. God, I proc embarrassment so late here. Why? You can kind of ignore the mobs. Milk is just going to take them out periodically whenever she's bursting, so it doesn't matter. And Helm heals you so much that it's never a problem, right? But, yeah, that's it. Pretty simple. If you have a Snow White build, this is probably the team where you would use her in. Like running Miranda instead of Dee, running Summer Helm instead of Mihara. And then the 2 burst 3 are either Snow White and Mihara or Snow White and Maxwell. Essentially, Snow White, I've never built her, I never will, I don't have the meth for it, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. But the main thing about her you have to understand is that because you can hit in clusters of parts, you can do triple damage. That's why she works well here. That's why you see teams doing 5 bill to 6 bill damage with her. But those teams are extremely dangerous because you need Summer Helm, so you don't have a healer. Technically, you could also just run Helm as the second burst 3 like I do here, but it's a bit iffy, right? You'd still be able to do pretty well if you have a good Snow White and you actually charge your shot properly, though. But yeah, let's move on to Team 4. This time is Rappy Mermaid. The only reason why this one is technically harder than Shotgun is you don't have any heals. Also, here you can see me like break the parts while being very close to the edge. This is because Rappy's explosion can break the little balls before they get to you, which is pretty important. But yeah, Little Mermaid makes most of this very brain dead, as you can see. The way the bubbles work, they will target every single mobs on the map and do sustained damage on them until they die. So they are never a threat, as long as you break the core, of course. I don't know how that would work if you don't destroy the core. Probably would be fine for that specifically, but yeah. Here I am delaying the QTE. This is because most of the DPS that we have on the team, aka everyone but Little Mermaid, is iron. We don't have any healing. The boss is a move that just bypasses cover and do big chunks of damage. So, yeah. You kind of just have to take it, and you can take 2. If you don't delay the QTE, you'll be taking 3. you'll die early, so you lose damage. I love cannons shooting stuff at me when they're dead. But yeah. Now, if you wonder why I'm shooting so high up, and this is holds through with shotgun too, I believe. Effective range. The top of Mother Whale is considered short to mid-range. So Eve and Little Mermaid attacking there gets an effective damage bonus, which boosts your damage by 20%. So, as a result, it is it's better for their damage overall. If you hit lower, the indicator turns from blue to orange because the boss is far. Basically, that translates to you do less damage. That's why you want to really hit the top. At least when it gets closer. When it's far, it's just too far regardless. Shotgun is a bit of a weird one with that though, so there's that. Yeah, as you can see, everyone's near death now. But there's 52 seconds left. The boss does that every minute if you do the QTE too fast. So you would die, or actually, it's more like every 55 seconds. So you would die with like 10 to 15 seconds wasted. But yeah, this is pretty simple. You just shoot at it until the timer runs out. What an epic boss. As long as you can break the stomach, the boss becomes a joke that just does not know what the fuck it's doing. And here at the very end, you see me burst with Raven. It's mostly because the burst is instant, unlike Eve, which takes like 2 to 3 seconds. So you can do a bit more damage like that. Also, yeah, as you can see, that was still very limit. I was about to lose 4 people. So yeah, you really do want to delay it as much as you physically can. Team 5 is Shotgun. It is the Brain Dead team, really. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the start because this is my 3rd recording of this video because I keep forgetting to mention some stuff. But Naga heals better than Blanc, and she's more consistent at it. So, ignoring these is a lot more doable with Naga than it is with Blanc somehow. Another thing to note is that it lets you have Drake, which boosts ammo and attack, or ammo and hit rate, I think, for shotgun, so you do more damage. That said, I'm going to double check after this and compare damage with the Summer Helm with Summer Helm replacing Drake because of the damage taken debuff that she inflicts, and also because of the CDR. I'm going to write in a comment if it is better or worse, but until then, this is probably the better one to run. These shotguns, I mean. This is better than Blind Noir, by the way. I tried both. Once again, at the start, you want to break the core first, and then break the parts. Here you want to swap to Soda, because Soda sometimes will reload 3 times, because she's a clip shotgun when she can just hit and break the circles, which is super important to do ASAP. So you see I don't have effective damage here. I believe Toph does. If I had Bunny Aid... Well, actually, you can see here that I have not effective range, but I have, like, average range. I think if I go too low, it becomes ineffective range, which means you lose damage. But yeah. Again, this is pretty simple. It's just hit the boss as much as you can. And here I prepared in advance because I knew the QT was here, because that was my 10th time fighting this boss. Or really, I have been fighting this boss for like 3 hours. Because I tested a few things. For the most part, you can just ignore the mobs because Soda has a passive when bursting that will hit everything. Like you can see Quain pop out and just kill enemies. Yeah, that's Soda doing that, which is great because I don't have to bother with them and they just die anyway. That's also why Soda, well, her damage is, well, to be fair, she also has elemental advantage, to be fair. But yeah. This one is a bit awkward. I think Summer Hell might fix things up so that Dorothy doesn't lose damage on the shield as much. Which is why I think it might be better, but it's hard to say. Oh, and if you care about SBS Witmates, this is what I did overall. Yeah, 1.5 bill. It's a little better, huh? Mast is just really crazy. I think if I had Mast on my ult, I would be probably doing 2.4, 2.5 instead of 2 bill. But yeah, that's it. Once again, these are the teams for the main. And these are the teams for the ult. Hopefully this helps some people. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Have a good day, everyone.